Was it truly an accident, or the final chapter of a secret no one dared to mention? On September 13, 1982, along the twisting mountain road above Monaco, Princess Grace Kelly's pearl-colored Rover suddenly plunged off the cliff, ending the life of a woman who once captivated the entire world. The press reported that she had suffered a stroke, but locals whispered another story. They heard an argument, the screech of brakes, and then silence. No one knows what really happened in those last moments between Grace and her daughter, or why she chose to drive that day on a road she had long avoided. When the fog cleared, what remained wasn't just a car crash, but the closing line of a legend. A woman who left Hollywood to live a fairy tale, only to be consumed by it. Stay with us until the end of this video, because behind Grace Kelly's serene smile lay a life of pain, repressed desires, and secrets never revealed. If you believe that every legend hides a buried truth, hit subscribe and join us as we unlock one of Hollywood's last closed doors. Grace Kelly was born in 1929 in Philadelphia, in a household where perfection wasn't a choice, but a rule. Her father, John B. Kelly, a three-time Olympic champion and brick industry tycoon, believed that discipline was the only path to glory. He once said, "Grace is beautiful, but my son is the one to be proud of." Those words etched a quiet scar into the little girl's childhood, teaching her that gentleness was something to be hidden beneath layers of restraint. Her mother, Margaret Major, a former physical education teacher with a military sense of order, trained her daughter in every step, every glance, every smile, until all seemed proper and poised. In that house, where every movement was measured by standards of decorum, Grace learned to stand tall, speak softly, and conceal every trace of vulnerability. But some say that after the glittering dinner parties and the cold marble walls of the Kelly mansion faded into silence, Grace would sneak up to the attic window, listening to Broadway music on a small radio, imagining herself on stage under the lights. She didn't want to be the perfect daughter her parents envisioned. She wanted to live, to feel, to be seen for who she truly was. An old friend once said, "Grace didn't dream of success. She dreamed of freedom." And perhaps that longing to be herself was what led her to leave Philadelphia and begin the journey that would make her an eternal icon of the century. Hollywood once rejected her. One director said coldly, "She's too icy to make an audience fall in love." Yet that very coldness became her crown, the title that defined her as the Ice Princess of 1950s cinema. While other stars burned brightly, Grace commanded silence. Her light came not from a smile but from stillness. Every tilt of her head, every blink of her eyes was deliberate, elegant enough to make the world hold its breath. On screen, she was marble perfection, distant, untouchable, almost divine. But off-camera, she was warm, playful, and sometimes recklessly romantic. A cameraman once recalled how she walked barefoot across the set, whispering, "I need to feel the ground beneath me." There was also a rumor that during her most glamorous years, Grace kept a small silver box by her bed. Inside were love letters, unsigned and secret, the fragments of affairs no one ever knew about. When she left Hollywood for Monaco, the box vanished. No one ever found it. The turning point came in 1952, when Grace Kelly appeared alongside Gary Cooper in High Noon. Among Hollywood's glittering stars, she didn't try to shine, she let the light find her. With quiet eyes and a gentle yet determined presence, she made audiences believe in emotion more than dialogue. Then came Dial M for Murder, Rear Window, and To Catch a Thief, 3 films that made her Alfred Hitchcock's muse. He once said, "Grace can make fear look elegant." In a world filled with loud, dazzling stars, Grace found power in silence. By 1955, she had won the Academy Award for The Country Girl. And at just 26, she had everything: fame, influence, and a radiance no one in Hollywood could touch. But behind the bright lights was a quiet fear. Grace once confessed, "People love my characters, not me." Hitchcock described her as a flame trapped in ice. After each scene, she would often sit for hours, silent as if unable to step out of her role. A crew member recalled, "She always had the look of someone waiting for a person who would never return." And when the Oscar was placed in her hands, Grace didn't smile. She only whispered, "I'm not sure I'm myself anymore." At the height of her career, Grace Kelly met actor Ray Milland while filming Dial M for Murder. He was older, married, but the connection between them was undeniable. On screen, they played a couple caught in a web of lies and desire. Off-screen, those emotions became real. Crew members recalled how, even when the camera stopped, they still exchanged silent glances. When rumors reached MGM, the studio intervened immediately, sending Grace away to rest, afraid that scandal would ruin their carefully crafted Ice Princess. Friends said she cried for days, then returned calm and composed, as if nothing had happened. Years later, when asked about Milland, Grace reportedly smiled and said, "They called it an affair. I called it the first time I was truly seen." No one ever confirmed the story, but many believed he was the only man who made her feel genuinely loved. Some even whispered that she burned his last letter, leaving only the faint scent of smoke on her white pillow. Perhaps that's why the story endures, like a faded lipstick mark in Hollywood's memory, proof that even perfection once fell in love. In 1955, at the Cannes Film Festival, a photo shoot arranged by Paris Match changed Grace Kelly's life forever. At the time, she was Hollywood's brightest star, while Prince Rainier III of Monaco was seeking a way to save his small kingdom from financial crisis. They met under the glare of camera flashes, a moment that seemed spontaneous, yet was staged as perfectly as a movie scene. From the very first photos, the media ignited the tale of the fairy tale romance between the Hollywood star and the European prince. They began exchanging letters, formal at first, then quietly intimate. And just a year later, in April 1956, their lavish wedding was broadcast to the world. Hollywood called it the wedding of the century. Grace Kelly, once a dazzling actress, was now Princess Grace of Monaco, a new symbol of elegance, grace, and power. But some say that before she accepted his proposal, Grace hesitated. She asked a friend, "Can someone like me really live in a palace?" Hitchcock, who knew her best, warned, "You'll be a bird in a golden cage." Grace. On the night before the wedding, she reportedly cried alone in her hotel room and whispered, "I'm afraid I'll forget who I am." The next morning, she emerged in her white gown, smiling serenely like a goddess, flawless, radiant, and untouchable. From that moment on, Grace Kelly, the girl who once dreamed of freedom, disappeared forever into her most enduring role, the Princess of Monaco. As the wedding of the century approached, the world believed Grace Kelly was living every woman's dream, becoming a princess, wearing an MGM-designed gown, and stepping into a real-life Cinderella story. Over 600 guests, millions of viewers, thousands of photographs, every detail was perfect. Hollywood called it the most beautiful ending for a flawless star. Yet behind her radiant smile, friends sensed something else, a quiet hesitation, a fear that she was crossing a line from which she could never return. It's said that before accepting Prince Rainier's proposal, Grace wavered more than once. Hitchcock, her mentor and muse, called to warn her, "You're walking into a golden cage, Grace." The night before the wedding, in her hotel room overlooking the Mediterranean, she reportedly cried and whispered to herself, "I'm not sure I can play this role." The next morning, she emerged in her wedding gown, serene and luminous. That smile made the world believe in fairy tales. But for Grace, it wasn't just her wedding day. It was the greatest performance of her life, one without a script, and one she would never be able to escape. After the wedding, Grace Kelly officially became Princess Grace of Monaco, the woman expected to transform a tiny principality into a symbol of elegance and refinement. She quickly embraced her royal duties, attending events, organizing charity galas, and raising her 3 children, Caroline, Albert, and Stephanie, within the strict codes of palace life. But life inside the palace was not the sweet dream the press had painted. Every gesture, every word, every glance was observed. She had to embody grace, yet never express opinion, smile, but never speak too much. The dinners, ceremonies, and lavish tea parties were all staged with the precision of a never-ending film. Only this time, Grace was no longer the actress choosing her own script. It's said that Alfred Hitchcock once invited her to return to the screen, offering the lead role in Marnie, 1962. She accepted, a rare spark of joy after years away from her art. But just days later, the palace intervened. No, Prince Rainier didn't want the image of his princess tied to the world of cinema. Friends recalled that Grace remained silent for a long time before tearing the contract in half. A former maid remembered that evening, Grace sat by the window for hours, gazing at the Monaco harbor as the boats drifted away, whispering softly, "It's ironic. The whole world thinks I have everything, and yet I have nothing that truly belongs to me." Inside the Monaco Palace, behind marble walls and windows overlooking the Mediterranean, Grace Kelly kept a small private room, her sanctuary, where no one else was allowed. There, she preserved the remnants of her Hollywood life, yellowed scripts, vintage posters from Rear Window and To Catch a Thief, and the gowns that once defined her legend. It was a world untouched by royalty, where the actress Grace Kelly still existed, apart from the princess she was forced to become. To the public, she was elegance incarnate, but behind that closed door, she was a woman haunted by the memory of stage lights, applause, and the freedom she had surrendered. A former maid once claimed she saw Grace there, wearing her silver blue gown from Rear Window, softly humming its theme song. No one knows if the story was true, but the image endures. The woman who once captivated the world, now singing only for herself. In a diary said to be hers, Grace had written, "I traded one role for another, but this one has no ending." The diary was never found. Only faded photos, old reels, and the lingering shadow of a woman caught between memory and oblivion. After leaving Hollywood behind, Grace Kelly devoted her life to her family and her 3 children, Caroline, Albert, and Stephanie. To her, motherhood was not merely a royal duty, it was the only role in which she could write her own lines. Grace personally chose their schools, attended every recital, and tried to raise them in an environment that balanced royal tradition with humanity. She founded charities, supported countless art projects, and became a driving force in bringing culture closer to the people of Monaco. Under her guidance, the tiny principality gradually transformed into a cultural hub of Europe, an achievement no one could deny. Yet, despite her radiant public appearances, there was always a quiet sadness beneath the surface. In interviews, she smiled graciously, but her eyes seemed to wander somewhere far away. A journalist once wrote, "Grace Kelly smiles with her lips, but never with her eyes." Members of the royal household recalled that. On certain late afternoons, she would sit by the window overlooking the sea and tell her maid, "I used to think I knew what happiness was, until I had children, and realized true happiness is seeing them free." But that realization also broke her heart, for her children, like her, were bound by the weight of the crown. Some say Grace once wished, just for a single day, to leave the palace, to take her children running barefoot on the sand. No gowns, no protocol, no flashing cameras. But that simple dream never came true. By the early 1980s, the world had grown accustomed to the image of Princess Grace of Monaco. Serene, elegant, and ever poised behind the formalities of royal life. Then, unexpectedly, a rumor surfaced. The Hollywood Reporter published a cryptic piece claiming that Grace Kelly was considering a return to the big screen. The script she received told the story of a woman torn between duty and desire, a role that seemed written precisely for her own life. The media erupted, and Hollywood buzzed with anticipation for what many called the legendary comeback. But soon after, the Palace of Monaco issued a firm denial. The princess will not return to the cinema. Within days, the excitement faded as if nothing had ever happened. Yet Grace's closest friends told another story. They said she did read the script, alone in her small private room, surrounded by mementos from her Hollywood years. One friend recalled, she rested her hand on the stack of pages, smiled softly and whispered, "Just once more. For myself." No one knows what film it was or whether that script still exists. Some believe she hid it away, tucked between old letters and faded behind-the-scenes photographs. Perhaps that was the final role Grace Kelly ever longed to play. Not on screen, but in life itself. The woman who had once ruled Hollywood, simply wishing one last time to be herself again. On September 13, 1982, a thin veil of mist hung over the skies of Monaco. Grace Kelly was driving her pearl-colored Rover 3500 with her youngest daughter, Princess Stephanie, seated beside her. They were returning to the palace after a short stay at their country retreat in Rock Aigle. The road was steep and winding, hugging the mountain's edge, the kind of route Grace, ever cautious, rarely chose to drive herself. But that morning she did. Around 11 o'clock, the car suddenly lost control, broke through the steel guardrail and plunged nearly 40 meters into a ravine. The news spread quickly and Monaco fell silent. Grace was rushed to the hospital in critical condition. A day later, the world received the heartbreaking announcement. Princess Grace of Monaco, the timeless symbol of elegance and grace, had passed away at the age of 52. The official report stated that she had suffered a stroke while driving. Yet, the sorrow that followed was more than national grief. It was a farewell to one of Hollywood's brightest stars. In the hours that followed, questions began to emerge. Why had Grace chosen to drive that morning on a road she usually avoided? Some said there had been a small argument between mother and daughter, nothing serious but enough to create tension. A witness claimed to have heard the sound of screeching brakes, then silence. Police ruled it a medical emergency, but those close to Grace believed she had simply been exhausted, body and soul. Others even whispered that she had planned to leave Monaco to return to America for one last film. No one knows what truly happened. All that is certain is that when that car disappeared into the ravine, it took with it not only a life, but the answers to questions the world would never stop asking. Grace Kelly's funeral took place at St. Nicholas Cathedral in Monaco, beneath the tolling of solemn bells and cascades of white flowers. Thousands gathered outside in silence, while inside, Cary Grant, her closest friend, wept openly. Princess Diana, just 21, stood pale and still, her tearful eyes reflecting something deeper, as if recognizing her own destiny and graces. The world called it the funeral of a legend, but to those who truly knew her, it was the final scene of a dream, the farewell of a woman who dared to live, to love, and to surrender everything for her last and truest role, life itself. Even in death, the mystery refused to fade. Some say mother and daughter argued moments before the crash. Others claim Stephanie was driving. No proof, no denial, only silence. And then came another whisper, that Grace had recorded a secret tape titled "The Role I Never Played," revealing the truths she never spoke aloud. If it existed, it disappeared after the funeral, lost to time, like all beautiful secrets. Grace Kelly, the woman who left Hollywood for a crown, remains proof that perfection always comes at a price. Her life was a balance between art and duty, light and shadow. They say legends never die. They simply turn into light, and maybe, in her final dream, Grace was once again on set. No crown, no cameras, just a woman who longed to be loved, to be free, and to be seen. So, what about you? Do you think Grace Kelly truly lived her dream, or sacrificed her freedom in exchange for eternity? Share your thoughts below. And if you believe that behind every legend lies an untold truth, don't forget to subscribe, because there are still faces behind the glass, waiting to be seen.